Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Now, in this video, I want to discuss probably the main reason or the main cause that I hear of from working with clients one-to-one every single day is their main reason that they think they're getting injured or what's causing their injury. But also more of the things that they've tried to resolve this cause of the injury or a contributing cause, but also my kind of feedback and my guidance on that as well. So when people get injured and I see them, they're in pain, one of the most common causes that people actually tell me themselves is that they're carrying a little bit too much weight, a little bit too much body fat, and they put this down to a cause of the injury. Now, yes, it is a contributing factor. Now, pain is obviously multifactorial. There's so many things that go into it, from your lifestyle to stress to movement to mobility, flexibility, everything comes into play. But I wanted this video to more so dial in to that perceived issue, but more so what they've done and what they've been unable to do. So what I mean by that is when people say I'm carrying too much weight, and this is more for the individuals who have tried all sorts but never really been able to lose body fat or lose weight. You see, it is far too common. From my perspective, what I've heard from conversations with, again, one-to-one clients I work with day in, day out, and it's, I know I'm overweight, I've tried eating well, I've tried training, but the weight just won't shift. Now, obviously, there is so many aspects to this that could be addressed, but I want to focus more on one thing in this whole equation, should we say, and that's the intensity of the training. You see, nowadays what has become more and more popular is your circuit training, your group PTs, your CrossFit, your high rocks. Now, all these are great ways to exercise. I'm not knocking any of these whatsoever. The only thing I want to look at in relation to weight loss is the energy systems that we're utilizing in them kind of workouts. You see, we're gonna kind of cross over here. We're gonna cross over into like heart rate zones and energy systems, and then looking at what type of exercise allows us to strengthen the energy system, which is a certain heart rate zone, which means we're gonna get a desired outcome physiologically. So let's take, again, circuit training, high rocks, CrossFit, group. It's kind of all the same thing. It's very intense, it's full on. Generally, circuit training, 45 to 60 seconds on, full on one exercise, with a small rest in between on another exercise. Now, this is probably getting your heart rate very high, very quickly, and trying to keep it there. So we'd say kind of like that lactate threshold zone that allows you to push really hard but try and maintain that. That's generally what the whole circuit training is. And again, it's a fantastic way to train. If you train hard enough, you can actually create, amazing benefits when it comes to VO2 max. But when we're in that zone of training, we've got to ask ourselves, what's fueling this form of exercise? Now, if we take a step back and look at our heart rate zones, you see our heart rate zones are kind of always looked at as, again, generally needs to be high, needs to be constantly worked to get them kind of benefits from that. But we have, again, there's so many different models and systems of these heart rate zones, but essentially I'm going to briefly discuss a kind of a 5-tier model, so zone 1 through to zone 5. Now, generally, when we're intensely doing circuits, we're generally up in the zone 4, bombing in and out of zone 5. Hopefully with recovery, we tend to get back to zone 3 and straight back up. So there's big kind of fluctuation. Now, when we're in these zones, as I said before, we've got to look at the energy system we're utilizing to fuel us to get through the workout. Now, in that state, we are working the anaerobic energy system. Now, the anaerobic basically means without oxygen. So the anaerobic system, the body's always looking for fuel, and the fuel that it utilizes is glycogen. Glycogen is kind of glucose that's stored in the body, in the muscles of the body. So when we're working that intensely, yes, initially the body's burning up the sugars that's currently available in the system. But as soon as you kind of cross that point and your intensity of training still is that high, your body needs fuel. So what it actually does, it actually starts to look for glycogen elsewhere in the body. And that's right, it's in our muscles. So, and this is actually very common. If you ever have like a really intense circuit session, have you ever felt like literally just drained and lethargic and no energy? We could put that down to it's a tiring workout. But in reality, we've just kind of drained our anaerobic energy system, right? So our blood sugars will be low, which is why we tend to really crave something quick after these kind of workouts. And again, not dissing these kind of workouts, I do them myself a couple times a week, I think they're great. But again, if we revert back to the goal of this video, and that's looking at again, giving guidance to the individuals who feel like they can't drop body weight or body fat. So this is that's the zone 3, zone 4 energy system where you're utilizing glycogen as an energy source. So in that zone, you're burning sugar for fuel. Now, if we take it back a notch, if we look at zone 2, Zone 2 is the aerobic endurance-based energy system, and you probably like what I've got to say about this one. In this energy system, the fuel is body fat. Whenever you're in this zone, your body is utilizing body fat as an energy source, and this makes it perfect to lose body fat. So I heard a few people ask, what is zone 2 and how do I get there? Well, it's a very good question. You see, zone 2 is basically a percentage of our maximum heart rate. Now, there's many ways you can find your maximum heart rate. The simplest way is if you take the number 220, if you minus your age, that will give you your max heart rate. So I'm 37. I take 220 minus 37, it gives me 183. Now that's my maximum training heart rate. Now to find my zone 2, if I want to be looking at using body fat as a fuel source during my training, I need to find out what is my zone 2. And zone 2 is 60 to 70% of my maximum heart rate. So for me, I would take the number 183 and I would times that. I'm going to get on here, 183 times 0.6, which is 60%. That gives me 109.8. I rounded up to 110. So you got 60%, so you've got 110. Again, next one, I'm going to do 183 times 0.7, and that's going to be 128. So for me, my zone 2 is between 110 and 128 beats per minute. Now, with zone 2, you have some very beneficial things that actually happen in the system. Firstly, we train the body to be more efficient. More efficient not only in movement and just general fitness, but in burning body fat. You see, for me personally, when I first started doing zone 2 training, I found it very hard to get into zone 2 or to stay in zone 2 because my body was just so used to going straight up zone 3, zone 4 and working at this intensity, which is all well and good, but we have to have this whole aspect of kind of cross training, this all round fitness, because there's so many studies out there that show us that working in this zone 2 actually benefits zone 3, 4 and 5, because we're building the engine. This is what it's all about, building the engine. So for me, zone 2 is, let's say it's on the bike, it's out running at a very easily conversational pace. Now, when people actually start doing this kind of work to lose body fat, to build fitness, to build endurance, people find it hard because it's not something I've done before, but also it is a huge kind of polarity from the high intensity workouts that they're used to doing something where you can hold a conversation. And it's very hard, and it was hard for me to get my head wrapped around this. But I persevered, and everything benefited. It really did. My body fat my body fat dropped, and it's just very beneficial. And this is kind of the thing that I would say, and I have said to individuals who've come in with injuries and said that, it's, me carrying or holding on to lots of body fat or excess weight does affect my joints, which in turn can create injuries. And it does, there's more load on the joint, so it's definitely a factor to be looked at. So honestly, to start off, if you're looking to lose body fat and you've tried all these different things and it's just not shifting, try this. It's going to be very easy on the joints. It's something you can do every day. I would say 2 to 2.5 hours overall across the week, at a minimum of a half hour slots at a time, should we say. So if you do half an hour every day, Monday to Friday, there is your 2.5 hours of zone 2 training. Now, if you're not able to do every day, that's fine. Do an hour one day, an hour the other day, half an hour the other day. Mix it up however you want, but try and not do less than half an hour in one sitting. So they say between half an hour and 45 minutes is where them true adaptations change in the system when it comes to blood oxygen, mitochondria. Your body's adapting well to the stimulus of the whichever low intensity exercise you actually choose. And yeah, I would always go for either the bike, running, whether that's inside or outside, treadmill, stepper, cross trainer, swimming, all these quite low impact exercises. And when I say low impact, it's because we're not going fast, we're going gentle. And again, for most people, kind of quite a fast walk is doable. So to start with this, obviously you would kind of look at maybe a kind of a Fitbit, smartwatch, a running watch, find out your maximum heart rate, find out your zone 2, get it to that using your heart rate monitor, whichever one you've got, and try and stay in that as much as you can for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And you would actually start to see a difference, because the beauty of this, you can actually do this type of training every day. Obviously we want this cross training, so yeah, you still want to be kind of lifting weights, still want to be working at a high intensity, but the zone 2 area is something that is highly kind of forgotten about, but it has a huge direct carryover to the health of our lungs, our blood, our joints, ligaments, tendons, muscles. The list is endless. So this zone 2 should be forgotten about. Now, if you are someone who gets injured and you feel any excess weight is contributing to this, start here. Start zone 2, because for a few reasons actually. There's a couple of benefits. First of all, you're gonna start to lose body fat because you're working in an energy system that utilizes body fat as an energy source. Secondly, the exercise is low intensity, so we're still getting movement through the system. Now that movement helps increase blood flow, which in turn helps reduce inflammation, which is pain. It's also going to help boost the lymphatic system. So unlike our circulatory system, we have our heart, which is the pump. The lymphatic system's pump is our muscles. So if we don't move, the lymphatic system becomes stagnant, which in turn doesn't really bode well for injuries and wanting to rehab and recover. So if you are someone as I said, who gets injured and feels your weight, or is carrying an injury and feels your weight's not helping, and you find it hard to train, exercise, let's say, zone 2 is where you want to go. If you're someone who's in a process of losing body fat or body weight and you feel no matter what you do, it just won't budge, obviously in that there is, again, so many factors that could be looked at. This is just one of them. Give this a go first, and hopefully it's going to give you what you need. So remember, we want to build the engine, build the foundation, which is zone 2. Once we build the foundation, we get to build higher, and that building higher is ourselves, our fitness levels, our strengths, our overall general health. So a little bit of information on zone 2, on how it can help lose body fat, improve overall fitness, help improve and injuries, and help recover and rehab from injuries, blood flow, lymphatic system. So yeah, hopefully you took something away from that. And as always, if you have any questions, just ask away. So for now, take care, and I will see you on the next video.